Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After years of allowing false information about President Trump and the false Russia collusion information that we saw perpetrating across the American sphere, social media platforms then decided to ban legitimate content about Hunter Biden. This is disturbing because it's a reflection of the role these companies wish to play in dominating civic life and public discourse. But at the same time, the Washington Post and New York Times haven't been the best fact checkers. A concern of mine is that in addressing social media's dominance over the news, we will just end up allowing a different set of actors to do the same thing. My questions are for Mr. Travis and for Mr. Greenwald. How can we tackle this issue to create a fair playing field that promotes free speech and does not suppress ideas that are out of favor with elites in this country?
I think it's one of the most fundamental issues of American society today. How do you determine what stories are able to be shared and what stories are able not to be shared? Frankly, I don't consider it partisan at all that when the New York Post has its Twitter account absolutely shut down because of the news story that they are putting out, and all of big tech corresponds in conjunction together, that's the very definition to me of antitrust action. I wrote in my testimony, and I wanted to just hit it. I mean, think about how crazy it is that all of the tech companies in concert, whether you agree or disagree, and I come to this from a completely nonpartisan issue, whether you agree or disagree with what the president of the United States at the time, Donald Trump, was doing on social media, everyone out there should be terrified of how quickly everyone shut him down. Listen to this. In January of this year, Facebook, Twitter, Google, Spotify, Snapchat, Instagram, Shopify, Reddit, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest all either banned or restricted the democratically elected president of the United States from speaking to the country on their platforms. Right now, Donald Trump may be the focus, but big tech has set the precedent that if they want to shut anyone down, even the most powerful person in all of democracy can be shut down. So how do you regulate the power that big tech has grabbed? I think the question that you're asking is probably the most central and important question that confronts our country today, because Trump will not be the last figure to have this happen to him. That's my concern.
That's a great point you bring out. Mr. Greenwald, you want to add anything to that?
Just briefly, that there are representatives of my industry, my profession, here with me testifying. And often what we hear is, well, we're professional journalists. We're here to combat disinformation and ensure free and diverse viewpoints that are aired. But so often the reverse is true. If you look, for example, at what happened in that Hunter Biden banning by Twitter and Facebook, the argument that was advanced by those companies to justify it was that the materials reported by the New York Post were, quote, Russian disinformation. That came from news media outlets saying that, and everyone now knows that that is untrue. Even the FBI acknowledges Russia played no role in that, and that the documents were genuine. So often, the most damaging conspiracy theories and disinformation come from the most prestigious news outlets. Obviously, the most destructive case being the claims that were made that led to the country to invade Iraq. And so I think that the concern I have is that if we adopt this narrative that the reason media outlets are failing is only because of Google and Facebook, we allow this industry that needs so much self-examination to essentially be off the hook. And if you allow the biggest players, the New York Times, Jeff Bezos' Washington Post, to be at that table and give them an antitrust exemption, you're essentially creating now two consortiums instead of eliminating the one that's at the root of all the problems.
Well, and I personally believe that until we address Section 230 reforms and liability protection reforms that these companies have, that we're never going to see a change in the behavior, because if we simply just split up the companies, they're still going to act and behave in the manner in which they're acting because they have liability protection to do that. And I would encourage any of my Democratic colleagues on this committee or on the full committee, if you want to work together on that issue, I have a bill. Would love to sit down with you and talk to you about it.